everyone. It's both an honor and a distinct pleasure to welcome you to this internal group discussion hosted by none other than Pichavaram House. I am Ayush Shukla, your moderator for this intellectually invigorating session. We are privileged today to be in the august company of a scholar whose work embodies both intellectual rigor and cultural sensitivity, Dr. Dikshita Ajwani, Assistant Professor of History and Culture at the Jaipur campus of Central Sanskrit University, stands at the confluence of tradition and modernity. Her scholarship delves deep into tapestry of Indian heritage, interpreting historical traditions and classical knowledge systems in ways that resonate with contemporary relevance. To have her grace us as an esteemed guest is indeed a matter of great honor. It is now my distinct pleasure to invite Dr. Dakshita Ajwani to bestow upon us a few words of encouragement, a beacon to inspire our participants as they embark on this spirited journey of discourse.
Should I should I continue?
Yeah, ma'am.
Good afternoon all. Today we are discussing a very sensitive and globally debated issue. Whether the death penalty should be abolished everywhere. Capital punishment or the death penalty is a controversial topic that involves legal, moral and human rights concerns. Many countries have abolished it while other countries it practices. Supporters argue it serves justice and deters uh, says it's a crime. Let's analyze whether this form of punishment is justified or not. I believe this discussion will help us explore the social, legal, and ethical dimensions of the death penalty and its relevance in today's world. Ji Ayush, please
Thank
continue.
thank you, ma'am, for the words of wisdom. Now, allow me to elucidate the structure of today's discussion, a framework both clear and precise, unfolding over 90 minutes in five distinct phases. The phase one would be rules briefing, a succinct overview of the conduct and decorum of a group discussion. Phase two would be the topic reveal. You will have precisely 1 minute to align yourselves whether for or against the motion. Phase three would be the opening round, a 15-minute interval during which volunteers shall share their inaugural thoughts uninterrupted and undiluted. Phase four would be the main debate and rebuttals, a robust 40-minute engagement of argument and counter-argument. Phase five, it will be the final summary, a 10-minute denouement allowing selective voices to crystallize their closing insights. To ensure our exchange remains both productive and dignified, I entreat you to adhere to few cardinal rules. Should you wish to contribute, please raise your hand. I shall call upon you in due discourse, and only then may you commence. Interruption is a transgression. Your counterpoint, though valid, must await its moment. Each speaker shall be allotted a strict 1 minute, no more, no less, in both the opening and the main debate. Kindly maintain your camera on throughout, not merely for visibility, but also to earn yourself a coveted bonus point. Moving on to the judging criteria, you shall be assessed on three pillars of performance. Opening round would be based on relevance, clarity, and cognicy, up to 5 points. Main debate would be judged on the strength of argument, rebuttals, fluency, and engagement. The final summary would be judged on the structure and insight. And yes, an additional 1 point shall be awarded for steadfast presence on your camera. The motion before you today navigate the turbulent waters of justice, ethics, and governance. The death penalty should be abolished everywhere or not. You now have exactly 1 minute for silent reflection to decide where your allegiance lies, for or against. And so we commence the opening round. If you desire to speak, please raise your hand. I shall acknowledge you in due order. Each speaker will have 1 minute to deliver their opening perspective. Remember, this is the realm of assertion, not rebuttal. Let us begin. Prakhar, you now have the floor.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. The topic at hand is the relevance of the capital punishment, also called the death sentence. So I firmly agree that death penalty should be allowed and should be practiced, though in a restricted manner. There are certain crimes which are so heinous in nature that it shatters the human soul, and they deserve just punishment. uh, key uh, Key idea in going against the capital punishment is that we should practice life imprisonment, but sometimes life imprisonment seems short. Death penalty often gives a sense of justice to the victim and his her family members, and also it restores the faith of the people in the system while while deterring people from committing crimes. Thank you. That was my opening statement.
Thank you, Prakhar. Sparsh Kumar, you now have the floor.
मौण्डयं प्रणन्ति दण्डो ब्रह्मस्य विधीयते इतरेषां तु वर्णानां दण्डं प्राणान्तिके भवेत्. In ancient scriptures, justice has always been tied to the severity of crimes. Good afternoon to everyone present here. Respected ma'am, my dear debaters and organizers, I'm Sparsh Kumar and I'm speaking against the motion. The death penalty is not just a sentence, it is a necessary deterrent, a safeguard, and a measure of justice that must not be abolished. That's my opening statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Sparsh. Garvit Kumar, you can now take the floor.
Uh, good afternoon, everyone. So I am Galvat, and I am against the motion, and I feel that death penalty should be once. Good morning, everyone. I am Galvat Kumar, and I believe that death penalty should be removed, as I think the judicial system is a bit unbiased here, and I would like to share my views on this regarding. Thank you.
Thank you, Garvit. Tarun Chaudhary.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I believe that the death penalty should be abolished because justice is not about just giving uh, death sentences to anyone. It's about reformation, and the reformation is not given by a death sentence. It's like we have seen many developed countries has abolished death penalty, like UK and many European countries. We have seen that their crime rate is also not so large as in India. And in India, we say there are so many cases pending, and there are many times there is not a proper judicial norms. So that's why we should have always a second choice, and I always have a twin thinking about it. So I think that death penalty should be abolished everywhere.
Thank you, Tarun. Akshay Tomar, you now have the floor.
A crime so grave, life must pay. Let justice speak, not drift away. A very emphatic evening to the moderator, sir, and madam. I strictly against this motion because according to me, death penalty is necessarily an effective form of punishment for the more serious crimes. Abolishing it could lead to a raise in violent crimes and send messages of leniency towards the criminals who commit brutal crimes. And let's not forget about the big topic of discussion during the Menka Gandhi versus the Union of India case 1978, which clearly discussed about the dignity of life. If a person only sentenced to life imprisonment for committing violent crimes, then it also threat to dignity of life. So it's kind of unconstitutional because it violates the Article 21 of Indian Constitution, number one. And number two, I'm not in the favor that death penalty should be imposed in every violent crimes. It should only be imposed in the rarest of rare cases. By respecting the judgment of our apex court in Bachchan Singh versus the state of Punjab 1980 case, where the court struck.
Please end your statement, please. Okay. Akshay, you have exhausted your time. Now I'll move towards the next speaker. Anubhav Sharma, you now have the floor.
Greetings, everyone. Many will say that death penalty is justice. It's something that people who have been through the rarest of the rarest crime, they should be given justice. But the Law Commission in itself finds that it is an illusion. The Law Commission of this country says that it's an illusion. We have not changed how the death penalties occur from the 35th report of the Law Commission back in 1976. It's again lingering, it's brutal, it's asphyxiation in most of the cases, it's death by hanging. Justice P.N. Bhagwati said that it's cruel, degrading to the human in itself. And if deterrence was the goal, we would see fewer crimes, but we don't. We are over here talking about developed countries abolishing uh, capital punishment like England or France. But we must not also forget that these were countries which had things like Salem witch trials and the Nuremberg witch trials. Thank you.
Thank you, Anubhav. Now I would like to call Chhatrapal Singh Rathore.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everyone present here. I'm speaking in for the topic that death penalty should be abolished everywhere. This, see, first of all, what I would like to start with is most of the times when death penalty is awarded, it is because we want to make a example out of the crime that so that other people don't commit it. But as it has been seen statistically, it doesn't actually result into that. So, for example, let's say about rape victims, one of the most heinous crimes, that being rape. The people, the rapists who are awarded death penalty, they do not feel anything. It has been what they have become mentally that they do not consider anything wrong that they have done to. And the same thing goes with others. It doesn't help, decrease the amount of rape that occur or the mindset of people. So, in that sense, I would like to point out that it is not very useful that that penalty should.
Thank you, Chhatrapal. You have exhausted your time. So, so now we transition to round two, the heart of our intellectual exchange, the main debate and rebuttals. Here, positions will be challenged, questioned, and defended with vigor. Continue to raise your hand if you wish to contribute. I shall call upon you in order I observe, striving to maintain equitable representation for both camps. Remember, each contribution is limited to 1 minute. And once more, a gentle reminder, do not interrupt mid speech. Once again, we have Prakhar Arora. You now have the stage. Yes. Okay. Anubhav Sharma, you now have the stage.
I'm
Let me make one
sorry.
thing pretty clear. Okay, so I'll continue. Let me make something very clear. Death penalty is not justice. It's state washing their hands of a reform, of a very mutual reform. We have here people talking about different things, talking about things which have no connection to death penalty in itself. Things like Menka Gandhi v. the Union of India case or Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, which technically talks about death with dignity and specifically has a talk of Aurango v. the Union of India case, to be specific, not in no relation to the death penalty. Rather, it has all the connections with that of death in case of somebody is suffering from a disease. They have talked about that life imprisonment is not that good. That people might not even be afraid of things to be happening. But death penalty is said to go against the psyche of a human, considering that the person knows that he would be dying in a few hours or a few months. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Anubhav? You can unmute yourself and ask me. Okay, since I don't see any, I would like to call the next speaker, Sparsh Kumar.
Like first point that I would like to raise is uh, death penalty acts as a deterrence against crime. The presence of capital punishment can discourage heinous crimes. Studies suggest that criminals think twice when faced with the possibility of execution.
Okay, I guess that's all from Sparsh. Do we have any questions for Sparsh?
I have one.
Yeah, Anubhav, you can continue.
Uh, Deterrence against crime. Let's talk about deterrence against a crime that has happened in India. We had Nirbhaya case, and the people got a capital punishment, and then we had the Arjikar case. Is this the deterrence against crime that we are talking about here?
Like these two cases are independently different. Like it's about the mindset of the people. When we are talking about deterrence, it does not like limit itself to a single case. When we say about the rape cases in India, uh, it's not just about giving the punishment. It's more about the mindset that has to be changed in the people. It has to be worked from the grassroots level. Like specifically you are talking about the rape cases. We have seen it acts as a deterrence in other countries like in Saudi Arabia, in UAE, in other countries. However, in India there are certain limiting factors regarding that. That has to be worked from the grassroots levels. It cannot be just that execution is not the only solution, but it is one of the solutions. But certainly it acts as a deterrence, yes.
Does that answer your question, Anubhav?
Uh, Free to follow up.
Yeah, granted.
They have been talking about countries like Saudi or UAE specifically. You have mentioned. Might I remind the person on the other side of the debate that they are the countries which do not believe in human rights. These are the countries which often had the incidents of people cutting the hands of those who have been in some form of thievery or something, and yet they talk about deterrence in accordance to those countries rather than talking about deterrence in countries like India, which has a very huge and a very diverse maps to work around. Talking about countries like northern Spain or countries like eastern France, because they have a diverse map. The map and the diversity is something which is of importance while talking about deterrence.
I
Would
didn't
you like
actually
to
get
answer
what
that?
was like what
Uh,
was he trying to say. I didn't get it actually. Like
Anubhav, just
we talked
ask
about
your question in brief.
I'll reframe it. You talked about countries deterrence acting positively in countries like Saudi and UAE, but you have clearly forgot to mention about it acting against the deterrence policy in countries like northern Spain or Caledonia areas.
like it was specifically against the rape, but rape cases that we had witnessed, it was deterrence against the rape cases. That's what I was talking about. uh, I mentioned Saudi Arabia and UAE regarding this because rape cases in these particular countries is almost equivalent to null. That's what I was trying to say.
May I please add something here?
Sorry, I will move. We have to move to the next speaker. Garvit Kumar, you now have the stage.
Hi, as I am in for abolishment of this, so I would like to share one incident of Dhananjay Chatterjee. He's a man from West Bengal. He got he was accused for uh, raping a girl in 1990. He served 14 years of imprisonment, and after 14 years of imprisonment, in 2004 he was hanged. But after some research of forensic result and legal expert team, it was concluded that there was no direct proof of a rape. But the this process is irreversible, which made him lose his life. So I think the judicial system is slow for India and this should be abolished. Thank you.
Thank you, Garvit. Do we have any? Okay, let's move on to the next speaker, Prakhar Arora. Prakhar, you can unmute yourself and start your.
Hello, am I not audible?
Yeah, you're audible now.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, I want to add one point that we have been talking so much about deterrence and stopping the crime. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Prakhar, but we can't hear you.
Hello, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible now.
I'm so sorry, my network got disconnected. So I was saying that, and there is so much talk about deterrence or stopping the crime.
I'm sorry, Prakhar, but we still can't hear you. You fix your internet. Till then, we'll move to the next speaker. Tarun Chaudhary, you now have the stage.
So I'm the Indo for the topic. So let me take you to drive to the history during the Vedic and post-Vedic period, when there was punishment not given direct death penalty. There was different types of punishments like exile, public shame, fines, and compensations, or mutilation means partially fracturing them or other kinds of problems. And we have seen same in the great Indian empires like Mauryan Empire and Asoka Empire. The same lineage can be seen to the global level in the Greece and Rome Empire, where was the same thing was practiced, like slavery was given to the imprisonments or any other form of difficult form of punishments were given. No, like they were not given the life imprisonment. They were given life imprisonment, but not a death penalty. Similar things of can be seen in the many other South Asian countries, like in China and in medieval Europe. These kinds of practice were in large that there were abolishing of death penalty, not because death penalty is not only inhuman, but sometimes it's often like judges are misinterpreted or there is lack of proper judicial justice. That's why I think death penalty should not be shouldn't be abolished from the everywhere from global level. So thank you.
Thank you, Tarun. Uh, Moving on to the next speaker, I'd like to call Chhatrapal Singh Rathore.
Yes, I would first like to mention something on something Sparsh had mentioned. He was asked the question about whether rape cases, and he had said that the RG rape case and the Nirbhaya one had a lot of difference between them. But there's one statistic I would like to mention. Um the number of rape cases reported just before the Nirbhaya case was 24,000, around 24,000, and in the next year, the, just the next year after the Nirbhaya case happened, the rape cases that were reported bounced up to 31,000. So when the whole of the country was opposing something, and when the whole of the country was standing united for against something, shouldn't have all the rapists and other criminals shouldn't have they been worried about what they would what punishments they would get and stop this? But as it is visible, they did not. And this has also been pointed out in studies, and also WHO has said that rape victims, the rapist giving death penalty to them does not actually serve any benefit to us, because in the end we are just striking down a branch. That's all. We are not striking down the root of it, and the root problem is it is a sort of mentality that has developed with them, with the rapist and other criminals throughout their life, that has to be changed, and that changes not with death penalty. Death penalty, you just give it to one person, it might deter a few people, but it will never deter a lot of more people, as much in proportion to the cases that are reported. And in that sense, we should work towards more towards rehabilitating the culprits, making them better, and in cases of rape victims, to actually help them learn better, reform their mental state rather than just award them death penalty. That is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Chhatrapal. Moving on to the next speaker, Prakhar Arora.
Thank you very much. So let me ask something, Ayush. Was I audible in the last statement? My last statement was audible.
No, you are not. Your opening speech was audible, but this rebuttal round was not audible.
Okay, thank you very much. So now, continuing with what Chhatrapal said, now I would like to ask Chhatrapal tell Chhatrapal one thing, that in my opinion, the punishment has to do with two things. First is to stop the crime from stop the similar crime from happening again, and second point is that it has to serve justice to the victim, right? So there was a fact read that there was 24,000 crimes, and then the next year the crimes rose to 31,000. That is a very very unfortunate thing. But the problem, the problem at hand is that the has
Uh,
been given justice or not? Has the justice been served, or
I'm not able to hear you, Prakash.
in this given
Prakash, again your voice is lagging.
Like, may I complete what he was actually trying to say?
please.
Like,
Just a second.
please, man.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yes,
go ahead.
Chhatrapal, did you get the question he was asking?
Not actually. I just heard half of it.
Okay,
Like, I can complete
Sparsh,
what he was
just
trying to say.
complete. Yeah, yeah, Sparsh, you can continue.
Like, he was saying that how about the families that were families of the victims that were asking for the justice, like there provides like death penalty provides closure to grieving families. It prevents prolonged suffering. What about that? Like, the families of the victims who were asking for the death penalty of the rapist, what about that? Like, they were asking for it.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Um,
Sparsh, for covering on my behalf. So this was exactly what I was trying to say. That the first thing is to stop the crime, whereas it has to be made sure that the criminals are paying for their sins. What will happen in the future is the second thing. But what the problem at hand is also to serve justice. This is what I was trying to add here. Thank you.
Can I
okay,
ask a
one
question?
thing.
Yeah, Chhatrapal, you can ask.
Okay, if I had to point out life sentence without parole, what would you say about it? I mean, the person is completely cut off from his social life. Maybe one thing to mention, it is right in a way that you have said that the family of the victims would definitely want a death penalty to be given. But we cannot always just think and act upon by, the emotions every time, and especially the emotions of someone who has lost a very dear one. It has to be mentioned that in a long term, a life imprisonment with no parole is a much more, uh, bigger, bigger issue other than rather than the death penalty. Someone who is completely cut off from his social life, one he might be able to live with in happiness or nonchalantly for, let's say, 1 year or 2 year or 3 years. But later on, he has to realize that he has to live his whole life in this jail. Uh, uh, Among a few people with he's not able to meet the outside people, he's not able to know what the world is like and see the beauty or anything like that. He's completely cut from it, so it will act upon him mentally. It will give him more pain and more suffering than what 5 seconds of death penalty would to him. And in that sense, I think that has more chances of seeing the culprit reforming. So we might want to think that death penalty in a given instance would be really good. It will help appeal to the masses. But then again, if you're reforming someone, why is it not the first option then? If we can reform someone back, that is the best thing that we could do. Yes,
May I
I mean,
please
thank
counter
you.
this with one question? Now, in your earlier speech, also you were talking about improving the mental state of the criminals, maybe reforming the convicts. So I don't think so that reforming the culprit is the agenda here. All right, this is we are talking about this that statement, that sentence is given in rarest of rare crimes. This is the word that has been used by the Supreme Court of India, rarest of rare. So these are the cases where we do not seek the reformment of the people. If there is someone who has been mugging people, or someone who has been who's a shoplifter, in such cases we expect a reformment, and actually reformment is what we really want. But in these heinous crimes, the most uh, painful, heart-wrenching crimes, we do not seek the reformment, the people being reformed, the convicts being reformed. So this is what I think, that if we are looking at this perspective that we want to reform them, I think we are on a wrong track here.
I'll just
I have a
take a
counter.
minute from you, Chhatrapal. Prakhar, if you are asking the moderator if I can ask a question, you have to wait for a reply. If I'll ask you, yes, you can ask a question, then you have to continue.
I'm sorry,
Please,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
yeah, you
Uh,
have to respect the rules of procedure. Chhatrapal, please answer him in briefly. I have to move on to the next speaker.
Okay, one thing I would like to clarify: this thing of trying to reform the culprit. This isn't the primary goal. When, let's say, as I had mentioned, giving someone a life imprisonment is not about reforming. That comes secondary. If someone reforms, that is well and good. That is good for the society, for people, and everyone. But the first thing is to make him live through the through the circumstances that would make him ponder on what heinous crime he has committed, to make him suffer in a way. So in that sense, that is the primary thing that comes out with life imprisonment, and in that sense I don't think it would be a problem. Thank you.
Mm, thank you, Chhatrapal. Just a minute. Okay, moving on to the next speaker, Tarun Chaudhary. You now have the stage.
I have already spoken. I have to add something to the Chhatrapal what he said. So basically, if we see like we have been like we giving the rapists being giving rapists the death penalty, but we often misunderstood some things, like some major topics. Like there is a report of Justice J.S. Verma committee that was formed in 2013, which states that giving the rapist death penalty is not should be happen in India, because there are many more factors that depends in India, like the family of the rapist might coming from a very powerful background. If they were being given a death penalty, then their family might take revenge from the victim's family, or the victim, if victim is alive, then her whole life will be ruined if the rapist have given death penalty. So we have to also look up in the matters, such sensitive matters, not only from the point of view of law and justice, but also point of view of humanitarian, and for the victims' rights also. Is victim safe from this decision or not?
Mm. Thank you, Tarun. I'll move on to our next speaker, Anubhav Sharma. You now have the floor.
Everyone over here who is speaking that death penalty is good for the society has been talking about what about the closure of the victims and their families? What about them? What about something that has happened? I would like to just move the needle just a few degrees. What about the closure of the family of somebody who is going to the death penalty, who is going to be killed in a few hours? When somebody is in prison, you have at least have the clarity of knowing that at least that person is alive. He did something bad, that is okay. I am saying that he did something bad, but at least he is alive. I'm saying on the fact that humanitarian and humane ways of society are being applied to him. They are talking about cutting off the branches again and again, like Prakhar again and again pointed out to Chhatrapal. While going for the root is important, we are talking about killing somebody because he's a killer. Like what kind of 1983 Orwellian utopia is this country, and this whole debate is going forth is something to be talked about and something to be thought of. They said that there is connection between deterrence and the people stopping the society. Then again, nobody has been able to give a clear-cut answer as to if there has been deterrence for the rarest of the rare case. Then again and again, why there are cases which fall into the category of the rarest of the rare. At some point, with this theory and paradox, at some point in future, it is supposed to reach a point of collapse.
Okay. Thank you, Anubhav. Moving on to our next speaker, Akshay Toma. You now have the floor.
I'll start with the basic that why death penalty should not be abolished. And as a fellow speaker said, because it is a powerful deterrent and essential delivering justice to most grievous crimes. And where to go somewhere else? Let's take an example of our very own country, India. Let me share you with some statistical data. According to National Crime Report Bureau, showed that all the criminals arrested in India in 2015, 8.1% were repeated offenders. And the corresponding figures of 2014 was 7.5%, and that of 2013 was 7.2%. So don't you think that abolishing death penalty will be like removing sword from the neck of the criminals? We have to agree on a fact that death penalty is not just a punishment, it's also a deterrent, which is much needed, especially in a vast country like India. And especially to Anubhav, who said, what about the family of the criminals? I would like to mention a case, a very famous case of Ajmal Kabab, the lone surviving terrorist of 2008 Mumbai attack, was sentenced to death and executed in 2020. His execution reaffirmed the public faith in justice and served as a warning to others who might consider engaging in such terrorism acts. Especially, we are living in a country, India, where terrorism is kind of at peak. Or in a country, India, we talk about people. They just took right of expression of speech, which is written in the Article 19 of Indian Constitution. So, like unethically, Article 19 of Indian Constitution का हवाला देकर टेररिज्म के झुंझुने को पूरी दुनिया में फैलाते हैं, then do you really think उन क्रिमिनल की फैमिली के बारे में भी सोचा जाना चाहिए, या फिर we should prioritize our nation, our society, because we are living in a civilized society, we are living in a country which is highly in morals and highly ethics. So I don't think so we should give some safeguards to such kind of criminals, and we already have such kind of safeguards, which is written in Article 72 and 161 of Indian Constitution. So I don't think so abolishing death penalty will cause a very big impact here. That's all.
Thank you, Akshay. Moving on to our next. Yeah, Anubhav.
They said that in the year 2015 there was 8.1 repeated offenders. I guess in the year 2015, if I'm not wrong. If I'm wrong, I should be sorry for the wrong quoting. But there were 8.1 repeated offenders. If they are repeated offenders, that does mean one thing, that they have not committed such a heinous crime. Otherwise, they won't be out on a bail or a parole kind of situation to be a repeated offender. To become a repeated offender, you have to do something of a small time, like a mugging or something. Talking about, you talked about the case of Ajmal Kasab, the 2611, the lone survivor terrorist. So then again, it was, let's not go into the history before what was the Supreme Court's decisions regarding other cases like the Algatolis or the Bombay Municipal Commission cases, because that they were one of the blows from the public to the collegium. So the collegium also had some kind of thinking before going into such matters. Thank you.
Akshay, please. You want to answer that?
First of all, the statistical data I've quoted, which was 8.1%. Let me tell you, Prakhar, among that, about 3.9% repeated offenders was who did murders in 2014. And then this national NCB quoted this data that 8.1% were repeated offenders. Among them, 3.7% are those who did murder in past. But in India, we don't have even murder is not considered as rare of rarest crime, so we don't have any death penalty for it. So it's again kind of like removing a sword out of from the neck of the criminal by not giving death penalty to such serious crimes. That's all.
Okay, just a small update. If you guys have any questions, you can include that in your speech. The time limit for your speeches have been removed. Okay. So now moving on to the next speaker, Prakhar Arora.
Can I add a comment to the statement just given by Akshay?
Please include that in your speech. Anubhav. Prakhar, you now have the stage.
Okay, thank you very much, Ayush. And before that, I'm so sorry for skipping the rules last time. I just did not listen that properly. I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask for the confirmation. Yeah. So now I would like to talk to to counter two of the fellow speakers. First, Tarun mentioned something that what if he was given a death penalty and then the family seeks revenge. So I do not think so. This is a valid argument. If the culprit's family seeks revenge from the victim's family, this can happen for any crime, be it for life imprisonment, be it for 5 years imprisonment, or be it for capital punishment. And secondly, I think that justice cannot be done thinking about this, that what if the convict's family commits another crime against the people, against the victim. For that we have police forces to maintain the safety of the citizens. Point number one. Second, number one, point number two, Anubhav said, what about the convict, for which Akshay said exactly exactly what I felt saying, citing about Amjad Kasab and all. So I firmly agree with what Akshay just said, that what about the convict? This is not something a person should be thinking, a judge should be thinking. In my opinion, the only thing at hand is to decide that the crime has been done, how heinous is the crime, and what punishment should be given. It should not be thought what the reply, or what, how would the convict respond to it, or how would the convict's family respond to it. This is my rebuttals to the points that were made here.
Thank you, Prakhar. Moving on, I'll
Ayush,
call upon Chhatrapal.
Ayush,
Yes, Anubhav?
just one clarification. So the questions will be directed only via during our speech. So we can ask the questions during the speech, not directly after the speech.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have a rebuttal round after this. After all of you have exhausted your speeches, then you can personally ask your question and get the response. Okay. Chhatrapal, you now have the stage.
Okay. Akshay had mentioned something that criminal की family का सोचा जाना चाहिए. I mean, to think about it. Sorry, I mean to think about it. You have to take into regard that it cannot, the justice cannot be. You cannot always say that someone cannot be. Someone should be given death penalty because. Okay, I'm really sorry for that. Akshay had mentioned that victim की family का सोचा जाना चाहिए. I'm sorry for that. So the thing to be talked about here is when we are talking about the victim's family, we have to also ensure that uh, like satisfaction of a momentary satisfaction would not do any good to them. It is the act of government, such as rehabilitation to the family, compensation, or opportunities given to the family to easily accommodate them in the absence of a family member that they have lost, which would actually help them in long term rather than just a momentary satisfaction that is given by awarding someone that penalty. Yes, it might help them emotionally, but for how long? You have to be practical in that sense, and these are much more important than just satisfying someone for a moment and giving someone that penalty because of it. And then in the same sense, you have to also realize that does that giving that penalty to that person actually do any good to the other culprits that there are out? So you have to think about it also. And yes, that is what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Chhatrapal. Now moving on to the next speaker, Sparsh Kumar. You now have the stage.
Yes, I would like to emphasize upon the Pahalgam terror attack that occurred just recently. Our armed forces executed Operation Sindoor. However, the perpetrators, if captured, shouldn't they be executed? It would be a crime if we didn't give them the capital punishment. Like somebody just previously said that it wasn't humane giving them the capital punishment. Humane was already dead when he did that heinous crime, when the perpetrators did that heinous crime. Chhatrapal just now said that how long? It just doesn't make sense. It's absurd that let us say the victims. He said that how long would they be like satisfied with the punishment? How long? It doesn't make sense. It's absurdity. Like it just gives them uh, like sukoon milta hai. Like it would be better if they would be executed rather than just give them jail time and they would be out on parole. It's better that they be executed.
Thank you, Sparsh. Now moving on to the next speaker, Prakhar Arora. You can unmute yourself and speak.
Thank you very much, Ayush. Now, I would also like to talk to Chhatrapal here. The crux of his speech, crux of what he said was that leniency towards the victim should be showed, and how long will the satisfaction drive. So this is, as it was said, it is absurd in my regard, in my opinion as well. But I want to tell you that first of all, why should leniency be showed to criminals who have literally brought mm, disgrace to humanity, if we would like to speak it like this. So why should leniency be showed towards them? First point. And second, it was asked how long will the satisfaction go on. I would like to say here that the question is not about satisfaction. The question has never been about satisfaction. The question is about justice. And the thing that is closely attached to justice is the faith in the system, faith in the law and order. If the faith in law and order is removed, if it is dissolved, if it is destroyed, there would be turmoil in the country, and we might not understand it, or we may not be able to imagine how severe it will be. But I would like to remind everyone of what happened in Manipur in the past 2 3 years. That revolt or struggle is still going on. Why did that happen? That happened because the faith in the system was lost. So similarly, if it so happens that people stop believing in the system, people stop believing that justice would be served, or police would take care of them, police would help them. So people would start taking the law in their own hands. They would start carrying guns instead of pepper spray, and they would all sorts of unimaginable things would happen. So I think that leniency shouldn't be showed to such criminals. And secondly, faith has to be restored in the system, no matter how. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakha. Everyone, just a small update. After Anubhav, Garvit, and Tarun, we won't be taking any speeches for this round. Uh, if the time permits, we will have a rebuttal round. Okay. So, Anubhav, you can start.
Thank you. Prakhar, in his previous speech, said that whenever we talk about justice, we need not think about the other side. We do not need to think. We just need to think about what has happened, what is the case, and the judiciary and the justice and the lords and the judges. They need to think about that particular instance, not about what would happen to the families. And then they talked, and in the next speech, just the previous one, they talked about faith in the judiciary, faith in the political system, faith in the justice system of the country. There has been a clear-cut hypocrisy in the change of stance over here, which I might to point out. First one, they said that they need not think about everybody else, and then they came out about talking about faith. And if they do not need to think, then I would like to specifically speak about the basis of a constitutional bench. The constitutional bench has the basis of thinking in such matters that if we give this judgment right now, today, on this day, what would it show to the country in the futures, in the upcoming days? Somebody here talked about the terrorist of Pahalgam attack and asked that shouldn't they have been killed? They should have been killed. Well, they were executed in an operation by the military in an armed conflict. They were killed in action. They were KIA. They were not executed. They were not done anything else. They were killed in action. That is something else. That is not the point of debate what we are trying to have today. They said that there should be they have killed somebody, has killed somebody. There's a greatest of the rare crime. They have already killed humanity. There has been a death of humanity, and we should not be thinking about humanity. So they killed, we killed. What is the difference at us at that point? We are Indians. We have one of the biggest constitutions in the world. We have one of the best known legal systems in the world. We pride ourselves on being something which the leader of the country has again and again referred to as something as the Vishwa Guru. We have again and again said that we are the Vishwa Guru. We are at such a level, yet we disgrace ourselves while coming to their level. Why did I add one very very beautiful thing which I read a few days ago in Republic by the Aristotle? Like, killing a killer does not change the number of killers in this world. The number of the killers remain the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Anubhav. Moving on, Garvit, you now have the stage.
I would like to add, do you guys think there is no false rape case situation in India? A powerful man with the help of this law can kill an innocent person who doesn't have knowledge or access to this law or the pet's lawyer. The limitations of this is biasness, inequality, irreversibility of this. Once the person is gone, it's gone. In the case of Dhananjay Roy, he was found guilty under a fake rape case, which made him lose his life. And the forensic team concluded that there was no direct proof of this. So, what about a guy like him? Thanks.
Thank you, Garvit. Tarun, you now have the stage.
So, like, I want to clarify the Prakhar that the statement I quoted was not of mine; it was of Justice J.S. Verma from a news article. And secondly, if his statement was like the terrorists should be given should be given death penalty. That justice doesn't go on the on the public opinion. The justice go on the judicial and laws. If we give mainly the terrorists are of very young age, young boys which are mind washed, and we if we give them death penalty, they are often considered as Sahid to their followers, not as someone who has been termed as terrorist to their groups. They have been even idealized or been praised that they have given death penalty to them because they have done something good to their followers. That means like they have been creating a cult if we start thinking like that. And secondly, I want to add on to Akshay's point, like we should also think about the criminals family. I'm not talking about the criminals that are found guilty. I'm talking about the criminals that are found guilty but are innocent. Like there from the reports, 30 to 40% of the rape case reports are false, and around 32% of all the total case filed for uh, murder and severe charges are also false. So we should think about the family of that innocent people, the innocent citizens of India and global.
Thank you, Tarun. Now, guys, if any one of you have questions, please raise your hands. Prakhar, please ask a question. Thank you very much. Now, I was asked a few questions by Anubhav, Garvit, and Tarun. So, let me answer them one by one. First is Anubhav asked me, what will happen in the future? Now, I would like to ask you, given a hypothetical condition, let's say there was a criminal, he did a heinous crime, he was hanged. Now you are saying what will happen in the future, what bad message will it show to the society? Now I would want to ask you, hanging a criminal of a heinous crime, how bad, how would the message sent by it be bad or be taken badly by the society? I hope the question is clear here. Now, and second, it was asked, what's the difference between he killed, I killed? Yeah, simple. So the difference, I think, is the difference of intent. Okay, the difference is we were forced to do it. We meaning the society, the state, the government. We were forced to do it. We did not do it on our own. We did not do it in our free will. Okay, we did not mean to harm him. We were forced. Our hands were forced. Okay, I hope this answers your question. What's the difference? Now, Garvit mentioned here that there is bias. There is bias. He was talking about the bias about the death penalty. This is with all the crimes. Sorry, this is with all the punishment. Be it a 3 months punishment, be it a 3 year punishment, or 5 year, or life imprisonment with no parole, isn't it? So you are arguing against the capital punishment. That's all right, but I do not think so that this argument serves here. I do not think so that this is a valid argument in from your side as well. Now Tarun asked me, yes, similarly Garvit also asked about the innocents being charged. So this is a very, very, very painful thing I would like to add. There is I really don't want it happening. I really those the victim who fall those who fall victim to it, they really have my sympathies. Okay. Now Tarun mentioned that killing them, hanging them or executing them will make them shaheed. Okay, for their people. Okay, the terrorist he was mentioned talking about the terrorist here. So they would become shaheed. So they are anyway shaheed. If they are not shaheed, they are heroes at the moment. The day they will die in the uh, sorry, just a minute. The moment they will die in the jail, they would become shaheed in their territory. So I do not think so. How
Can you
would
please end
this
your
change?
statement?
Yeah, I'm just done. I do not think so. How removing capital punishment will stop them from being shaheed. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we have to move on to the next round. I'll take your questions after that. So, we arrived at the final stage, round three, the wrap up. So, now I invite one to two participants from each side to impart their concluding statement. This is a moment to distill your core arguments to leave an indelible impression, all within 1 minute. Please raise your hands if you want to speak. So those who are for the motion, first they raise their hands. Okay. Uh, Chhatrapal, uh, you can give your closing statement.
Yes.
Prakash, only those who are for the motion, please raise their hand. After this, I will ask for against the motion.
Okay.
Chhatrapal.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. My closing thoughts on this are, first of all, death penalty in itself takes a long time. It is given, then it is appealed again, then it is appealed again, higher up, and so on. So, in a sense, it delays justice, and justice delayed is justice denied. We all know about it. So, in that sense, we should focus towards giving justice at the right time rather than delaying it. Secondly, Prakhar had asked me a thing that told something on which I had commented that life it should the it should not leniency should not be given. But then again, I would like to point out that life imprisonment is not leniency shown to the victims. Leniency for someone who has lived through it, the experience is harrowing, and all these experiences in turn is aimed to first of all give the victim culprits the taste of what they have done to make them and also to make them realize. In that sense, it is more important that we not use death penalty, which can also be given indiscriminately. It has also been seen that death penalties have been given more to minorities and poor rather than someone who's rich. So we have to be,
Please end your
we have
statement,
to,
Chhatrapal.
yes. So we have to be,
Okay.
can I just,
Anubhav, you can proceed.
Tonight, I ask not for the sympathy or for the guilty, but I would rather ask for dignity, for the living, for the law, for the society. Justice is supposed to be blind, yes, but justice is also supposed to be kind. It cannot be vengeance or blood bounding or blood hounding. It's it's more like at this point it's theater with a rope. We speak of deterrence, but nothing deters much more and much in a efficient way than that of reforms at the grassroots level. And even if by error, even a single innocent life gets away from this world, even by a mistake, that's not a stain on the verdict on judiciary. No, 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 no. It's a stain on the humanity. It's a stain on the entire country and every single person living there, asking for the death of that person. I never thought that I would see Animal Farm, a book written years ago, centuries ago by George Orwell, come to life in such a weird way in a debate tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Anubhav. Tarun Chaudhary, you now have the stage.
So, in 21st century, our justice system should not reflect progress and compassion, not ancient beginnings. Justice is not about reform. Justice is about reform, not revenge. We should be thinking about producing humans that are good for society. Not by punishing them, we can set a rule for society. We have seen so many death penalties and many other kinds of punishments. But I think the only punishment that can bring a change in whole human lineage is like the change of humanitarian, the change that can be given slowly, slowly by through our education and through our behavior changes. I want to conclude by this.
Thank you, Tarun. Garvit Kumar, you may proceed.
So I strongly believe that the death penalty should be abolished in a country like India, where justice system is slow, unequal, sometimes fault. Capital punishment becomes a dangerous tool. The poor and illiterate often get fair trials, while the rich escape from the punishment. Cases like Dhananjay Roy shows that an innocent can be hanged. Studies from US and UK shows that the death penalty doesn't reduce the crime, more the life imprisonment. Instead of ending with this, we should punish criminals with life imprisonment without parole, as Satyakal said, so they never return to society, but also have a chance to prove their innocence if wrongly accused. Justice should be fair, no revenge. The death penalty is irreversible, and one mistake is one life lost forever. That's why it should be abolished. Thank you.
Thank you, Garvit. Now, for those who are against the motion, please raise your hands. Sparsh Kumar, you now have the stage.
Justice is not about vengeance. It is about safeguarding the society, delivering fairness, and ensuring that the most heinous crimes receive the strongest response. The death penalty stands as a necessary instrument of justice, deterring potential wrongdoers and protecting the innocent from the unrepentant criminals. To abolish it entirely would be to weaken our legal system, betray the victims, and risk emboldening those who commit the worst atrocities. Justice must be firm and punishment must be proportional because mercy for the guilty should never mean cruelty to the innocent. Chhatrapal mentioned that life imprisonment is better. What about taxpayers' money? What about the jail infrastructure? Heinous crime has already been committed. It is not bloodhounding to punish them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sparsh. Moving on to Akshay Tomar.
In the pursuit of justice, we must remember that consequences are necessary outcome of choice. When a criminal commits a crime heinous enough to warrant the death penalty, murder, terrorism, or act of unspeakable violence, they have willfully torn apart families, shattered life, and shown complete discard for the humanity of others. In such cases, justice must be firm, uncompromising. Yes, the family of the criminal may suffer, but the suffering of innocent victim families must weigh heavier. Justice is not about emotions, it's about upholding the moral order. If we begin to waver in our judgments of sympathy for the criminal's relatives, we risk undermining the very foundation of law. The criminal made a choice. Their family pain, while unfortunate, is a consequence of that choice, not a reason to excuse it. Leniency in such cases become injustice to victims. It sends the message
Thank you,
that
Akshay. Your time is
consequences can be
exhausted.
softened.
Prakhar, you now have the stage.
Thank you very much. Now, now I would like to conclude my thoughts and ideas by saying that capital punishment should be practiced in the legal systems. It should be exercised very restrictedly. It should be for the rarest of the rare crimes. The reasons why I support the capital punishment is that it restores the faith in the system. It restores the faith in the police forces. It restores the hope in the mind that in the mind of the citizens that this country is still safe for them. Crime has been committed, that is unfortunate, but we are making constant efforts to protect each and every one. So this ensures this punishment ensures that the required justice will be delivered. Secondly, the victim is also given the victim is also being given the justice that that his or her convicts are paying for their crimes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prakhar. So now we will take one rebuttal question from the from side and one from the against side. So those who wanna ask question from the from side, please raise your hand. Anubhav, you can ask your question.
Thank you. Prakhar just said that the hands of the judiciary are forced. They are forced to an extent. And then in the next sentence, they go on to sympathize with those who have been wrongly accused of any crime. Yes, there have been sympathies and their hand is forced. At the same time, that is a bit of entourage we're talking about here. A good connectivity between the two is pretty hard to establish at any given sentence in any given point. They talked about that if we they said that if we don't kill somebody, they would already become a martyr. The people who are fighting against a revolution, who are fighting in a revolution. Might I tell you, sir, about bit about the mathematics of war? Let's say a person has three
Anubhav,
friends
just
and all of
ask
them
your
are.
question, please.
Yes, sir. The question is based on the mathematics of war that if we kill somebody, killing one person who killed many does not inculcate that that person is dead, but that would also mean that his followers are much more into the society and works against the country with the revolution.
Okay. Anyone from the against side who want to answer this question? Yeah, Praka. You are on mute, Praka.
My question to all the speakers who are arguing for the motion, they
Prakhar,
have been
I asked for the answer to Anubhav's question.
Oh, sorry. The answer. Okay, answer. I have to answer. Uh, I'm sorry. Can you restart the time, please?
Sorry, we can't do that. We are in a bit of a crunch.
Okay. So he asked. I'm so sorry. I just forgot the question. I'm so sorry.
Okay, we'll move on
If anyone
to
else
your.
could do it.
You can ask the question if you want. And please conclude your questions in 30 seconds.
Okay, I have to ask the question now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I was asking the question that that they have been arguing for life imprisonment without parole. Okay. Now my question is this punishment enough? If is this punishment enough for the crimes that have been committed? It is not like that capital punishment is being awarded to everyone. I also have a data in the past year. There are only 500 people who have been convicted of capital punishment, while hundreds of thousands have been convicted of some other crimes with some other punishments. So now, what
Please end your
decides
question.
that? Yeah, just a minute. So now, I just want to ask the question: is the life imprisonment without parole a sufficient punishment, and will this restore the balance in the society? Thank you very much.
Chhatrapal, you want to answer?
Yes. See, life imprisonment without parole is one of the, I would argue it is much worse than giving that penalty. First of all, in terms of thousands of people being given like the punishments and getting out, this is one thing why they are repeating the incidents is because our the system of jail and everything, the system of justice is delayed and it doesn't act upon as as it is emphasized to be like. So in a sense, we are not. The problem is with the executive and not the judiciary. And in a sense, what I mean to say is this is because why people are not reforming is because of the ill system that we have in the country, not because the penalty or the I'm sorry, not because of the penalty that was given to them. That is not wrong in itself. Giving life imprisonment is, in a sense, you have been entitled to lose your life.
Please
Even
end
okay,
your answer.
leave alone. Okay, leave alone the. Can I end the answer once?
Okay.
If with your permission.
Uh,
Leave alone the life imprisonment, even 14 years of life literally destroys a life. If someone of 20-year-old who is in prison for 14 years, he loses all his youth, he loses all the opportunities that he might have in life to have a proper life, to have a family, to have anything. So in a sense, it is destroying your life. So it is, you cannot say that it is not harming you or it is not punishing you. It is one of the biggest punishments, and life imprisonment is much more than 14 years. In that sense, I would definitely not say imprisonment is something small in comparison to death penalty. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you, Chhatrapal. So, guys, I think we will exhaust our time after this. So, sorry, I can't take any more questions. And so thank you all for the spirited, erudite, and well seasoned discussion. We shall now hand over to our distinguished for observation and adjudication. And, ma'am, please, you have the stage now.
Thank you everyone for sharing such thoughtful perspectives on the highly sensitive issue. It is clear from today's discussion that the death penalty remains a complex and controversial issue with a strong argument on both sides. As a judge of this session, I believe what matters most is balancing justice with humanity. And any discussion regarding capital punishment should be made with great care, fairness, and awareness of its long term impact on society. With this, I believe this debate will help to shape a legal system. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to call Shivang for his closing comments.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining. It's been a nice having you all between us. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. And I thank each and everyone for your participation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone, again for joining this internal discussion hosted by Pichavaram House. The results would be announced to you soon. Thank you again for joining.